All right, let's talk about some mock draft scenarios here, Tate. Question number 15. The Bucks, they call up the Mavericks on draft night, and they offer Giannis for Cooper Flagg and salaries needed to meet the requirements to get Giannis. Giannis for Flagg. Are you saying yes if you're the Mavericks?
I mean, if I am the Mavericks, I am definitely not even entertaining the phone call because of what is already like they just got given. They got respawned. Right,
you're not answering. You
no,
don't
I'm not even.
know.
There are no phone call. Like if I am the ownership group, if I'm what's his name, Pat, whatever Dumont, I am making sure that the lines are cut. No one can call Nico. We are changing his phone number. We don't want him talking to the Boston Celtics, especially. I feel like that's the team that I would be circling the most to make sure that Brad Stevens does not get Nico Harrison's phone number and call him with some sort of tantalizing idea, put in his mind that Cooper Flagg's going to leave anyway after his rookie deal and come to the Boston Celtics, so you might as well rip the Band-Aid now. Like, that would be the terrifying phone call. But yeah, the Mavericks don't answer the phone. Do the right thing. You got literally the greatest second chance of all time to kind of right the wrong of what you did with Luka. You get a generational superstar who just happens to kind of be a power forward that fits into a similar vein as Dirk. If his career can play out in a similar way, that would be amazing. So as a franchise, the Mavericks should not pick up the phone. And honestly, if I'm Giannis, and I do think that the Bucks are working with Giannis, or at least in communication with Giannis. I think that Giannis has told them that it's either send me somewhere in the East, elsewhere in the East, where I can go and dominate, or like tell Chris Middleton to sign here for the minimum. And, you know, we try to figure out some way to get this machine going in Milwaukee for one more run. I don't know what it ends up looking like, but to me, Kevin, the Spurs are much more inclined to trade for Durant at number 2 than they would for Giannis. And I feel like the Mavericks, they can't. Even though the Mavericks kid definitely would take the phone call, I think internally that staff would be like, of course we want to have Giannis in this building. They just can't for PR reasons. So I feel like as much as the Giannis talk is very interesting and fascinating, and Europe loves the Spurs, right? As a continent, like that's the team over there. So, but yeah, you can't do it. Nico, don't do it. Leave Cooper Flagg in Dallas.
Don't answer the phone. Number 16, Dylan Harper, in all likelihood, is going to be the number 2 pick. Obviously, the Spurs have the number 2 pick right now. Is it a good or bad fit for Dylan Harper? Forget about the Spurs side of it here, but Dylan Harper, are you happy if you're going to the Spurs? Is this a good fit for you if you're in his camp?
No. I mean, it's not. And honestly, like that would be if I was the Bucks and I knew that Giannis was actually gone and we're doing the best for the Bucks deal. I think you go to San Antonio and you say, hey, we want our picks back from New Orleans. New Orleans wants a point guard. Zion wants a fresh start. Like, you know what I mean? You figure out some way to figure out like a 3-team trade there where, you know, the Bucks, the Spurs, the Pelicans kind of all get what they want. The Spurs get Giannis. The Bucks get Zion and some of their picks back, maybe 2 picks. Dylan Harper gets a fresh start in New Orleans, his own franchise, to be the point guard of that team, and he's got some pieces down there that can help him out, and maybe
how about the Nets?
The Nets, right?
He's from New Jersey. He grew up in New Jersey. He went to high school in New Jersey. He went to college in New Jersey. The Nets have the 8th pick, the 19th pick, 26th pick, the 27th pick, and the 36th pick. They have 5 top 36 picks in this year's draft, and then a bunch of others in the future. So, I mean, maybe
so what does that look like?
Up.
Is that like Cam Johnson and, you know, like is that what the
Cam
Spurs
Johnson
are looking for?
And number 8, maybe the Nets could absorb some Spurs salary, or maybe it's a huge 3-way deal where KD finds his way in San Antonio as well, because it is intriguing that Shams Charania has said on Pat McAfee this week that there was mutual interest between the Spurs and Kevin Durant. He didn't say the Spurs liked him. He didn't say that Durant liked the Spurs. He said there was mutual interest in KD to the Spurs. And Wembanyama, when I interviewed him last year, I asked him, who were your basketball idols growing up? First answer, Giannis. Second answer, Kevin Durant. So, like, he loves KD. KD would be very interesting there. And I'm with you, Tate. Like, Dylan Harper, the fit with Fox and Castle, I think it can work. I think it can definitely work, but not to the level that it needs to from the Spurs perspective. And specifically for Dylan Harper, you are a point guard, dude. Like, ball should be in his hands, surrounded by space, playing high pick and roll. And that's not going to happen all the time, sharing the court with De'Aaron Fox. You're going to be in the corner a lot of the time. And I don't know where a lot of those touches are because Fox is not a great spot up shooter. He's around 34% in his career on catch and shoot threes. Harper's not a great shooter either. I just, if I'm Harper and I'm in his camp, I don't want to go to San Antonio unless Fox isn't there. If the Spurs were going to screw over Fox and flip him and trade him elsewhere, then sure, I'd love to be in San Antonio and play with Victor Wembanyama and hopefully win and contend for a bunch of championships. But I don't love the fit for him, and I'd much rather like New Orleans, as you said, or Brooklyn, as you said, like some of these clean slate franchises where it just makes sense. It doesn't make total sense for San Antonio. Number 3, the Sixers.
It is kind of unfortunate. I was just going to say, it's just unfortunate that like both the top 2 guys are going to situations where they're not the franchise guy, right? You know what I mean? Like it's very strange. Yeah. And they both kind of deserve to go to their own franchise. So it's all messed up. It
is the weirdest thing how it worked out this way. Question 17 for the 3rd pick here, the Sixers. Who the hell should they take here, Tate?
I just talked to Chris Ryan about this, and he was going through all the trade scenarios and what they could do. I had gotten like a crumb sent my way again, like everything you get told or gets kind of brought your way, you take with some sort of level of grain of salt. But I heard that Knipple was kind of in the mix as well as sort of
I like it.
A play now guy. I also think that there's a world in which maybe a team at 6. Maybe the Brooklyn Nets or somebody wants to trade up and maybe they're able to do something there and get a guy and trade back and maybe get who they originally wanted. And maybe that is Knipple and they get him at 7 or 8 or whatever it may be. But Ace Bailey, to me, if I'm the Sixers and I'm on the board and I got to make the pick and the pressure's coming on, it's got to be Ace just for the upside. I think I'd take best player available. I do like the idea of like a kind of a master and a protege situation with Paul George. Maybe that engages Paul George.
Paul George as a master in the situation.
Well, I mean, that's the downside. You know what I mean? Like you're playing a dangerous game because probably Paul George's reaction is, why did you draft my replacement? I want out now. Podcast P out. So I don't know. I mean, I just think that's a very sticky situation. Daryl Morey's doing the best to like kind of cope around about how Joel Embiid's going to be back. And, this is going to be great for them and they're going to be able to contend in the East. So, I mean, I like the pitch and I know this is kind of the last saddle up for this front office and this group with the Sixers, so they kind of need it to all work out. So, I mean, Ace Bailey, Trey Johnson, those would be the 2 guys on my board. I know VJ Edgecombe he's done a heck of a sell job as kind of like a utility role player. And now it's like, okay, well, let's take the fit. Let's the Hornets. Let's take VJ Edgecombe with the fit. You know what I mean? So maybe the Sixers have a similar thing where they're like, we need a cutter and we need someone who will defend without taking shots away from our guys, our main guys. And maybe VJ gets in that conversation. But if it were me, I'd take Ace and then I'd shop around Ace after the fact. Get him to Summer League. Let him look great. Let some team that has some assets and some players you like reach out to you and, do what needs to be done. That would be my pick.